Hey there, my name's Hannah Perkins. For the video game analysis project, I chose to play The Sims free play simulation game. For those of you who don't know what The Sims is, it's a life simulation video game series developed by EA Maxis and published by Electronic Arts. It's one of the best-selling video game series of all time. The Sims series are essentially sandbox games, meaning they lack any defined end goals, breaking the traditional structure found in video games. The idea is you create virtual people called Sims and place them in houses to help direct their moods and satisfy their desires. You can either place a Sim in a pre-constructed home or buy a piece of land and build. Unlike other Sims games, The Sims free play runs in real time and takes real time to complete actions. Whether the time spent in action in the game is realistic or not may be up to the player, but given the fact that it takes 1 second to travel to the wizard's house does not seem realistic to me on multiple levels. From the 2015 ESA facts we read from class, the average gamer is 35 years old. 155 million Americans play video games, and the gender of game players is nearly split. It's no surprise given those facts that The Sims is one of the best-selling video games of all time. It appeals to everyone given its toyful representation of life. Although it did not make the top 20 selling video games list of 2014, it did make the top 20 selling computer games of 2014 list 8 different times. The Sims, from a perspective of a Mr. Miguel Saikar of the University of Copenhagen, says, "It is a medium to express ourselves, to dream and to build consequently the life and conditions we desire." End quote. As to say you can't achieve these dreams in reality. Those who play The Sims for a while, say 4 to 6 hours, walk away thinking it's very materialistic. But the ones that have played it for 60 hours or so realize that it's quite the opposite. Some look at it from a consumerism standpoint, because you are constantly buying things with your simoleons, which is the currency in the game, whether it be for your sim, to decorate your house, or to move further in the game. At some point, this stuff takes over your life. You buy these things because it will make your life more efficient, but you end up spending more time maintaining those purchases than using them for whatever you bought them for in the first place. Consumerism is definitely apparent in this game, but not what I want to focus on. I analyzed the obnoxious capitalism in The Sims free play. The Sims is a contemporary game that simulates a specific social stage. In this case, one of Western culture. A sort of middle-class means with bourgeois taste. It more so pretends to simulate social life, if not life itself, in modern societies. Capitalism is a system in which trade and industry are controlled by private owners for profit rather than for state. The Sims is all about processes and procedures and is highly focused on the outcomes of an inter-revolving system. To move forward in the game, you must complete tasks, and some within certain time constraints. Each Sim life is spent performing some basic task. It's a paradigm of our shallow yet dull society, where happiness comes from the best technology and by being constantly busy or productive, to say the least. The capitalist mode of production and relationship between each play is of minor importance to the mean of production. For example, I once had the task of visiting a neighbor, which ultimately resulted in earning money at the conclusion of the visit. The point of criticism here is the investigation of this so-called world and its laws rather than the individual. As I said earlier, there's no end goal, so one would assume you would have your sim act as close to your moral and cultural values as you have in reality. As I played, I was faced with some bizarre tasks to complete, but one that really frustrated me was the be rude to a sim task. There was no pre-established conflict between any of my 6 Sims, it was just the game itself wanted to cause problems. The task would not go away after ignoring it for days, so I eventually had to complete it to move on. The worst part is I got an amount of money as a reward for being rude to someone for no reason. From my research and playing, I found obvious flaws that I was not too thrilled about. It's the game's way of letting you freely simulate life, but at a certain constraint of still being in control overall. Ironic how every time I brought a new sim into the world, this sim world we have here, the housing prices just happened to go up. Or that eventually the expensive bookshelf I had previously bought for the gaining knowledge task was not enough, so I needed to buy a computer. Examples such as those come up constantly, but one aspect I did appreciate in The Sims free play was that there was no discrimination according to sex in terms of salaries. As long as you followed the pre-established ways of being happy in the game and had the patience and gaming skills to succeed, all Sims were treated the same way. Same salaries, same job opportunities, and same concept of success. which is a huge problem in our current world and society. Although, with that single positive example, it is sad that the best representation of life they can come up with is so capitalist in nature. I hope you enjoyed this presentation and thank you for watching.